Alright, so it's been about a little over a month since I did anything with the Trac Moped here. I've just been kind of messing with it for about the past hour. Um, Real exciting stuff, of course. Put air in the tires, actually are holding, it seems like. I have freed up the throttle cable, so it now springs back. I basically just kind of squirt some power lube down in here. I kind of sprayed it, I don't know if you can see up in here, but sprayed it up in there a little bit, and then I had the carburetor off, which I just got back on. I loosened this right here to where I could get down inside of the cable, and I kind of basically just like draped the, pull the cable all the way up vertically and try to get some lube down in there, and just kept working it. And I think actually most of it was up in the handle grip itself where the binding was, but that springs back nicely. I just verified again that there is good spark on it, and I took the carb off, took all the jets out. I mean, this stuff is all over YouTube, so I'm not going to go into all that. The main jet was clogged, and a couple other passages seemed like they were a little bit clogged, so everything got sprayed out, blew out. Took a wire brush through a couple things to open it up. The only thing was the port right here. There was something going through it, but I couldn't get that to where I thought it was completely open, but I'm not sure. Maybe that's the way it's supposed to be. I didn't touch any of the mixture or idle screws or anything like that. This is how this was. This moves freely. I'm assuming this is the choke, but it doesn't actually even stay up. Now everything is so nice and free. But I'm going to say, I don't know, we'll try it both ways. Obviously there's supposed to be some kind of a air filter over here. I guess there must be a cover that goes covering all this up that the bike doesn't have. There's also supposed to be something over this too, which it doesn't have. So lots of parts that this thing is going to need. Right now I just thought we'd try to see if we get it to run again. I just put a good bit of two-stroke mix in the tank. The tank is actually pretty clean. The carburetor was not like terrible. I mean, it was, obviously a little bit gummed up. Not really gummed up, just had a little bit of, blockage in a couple areas. So I guess we're going to see if it does anything here. I did try using a drill on the crank right here, but it spun it for like a couple revolutions, enough to see that it had a spark, and then it just backed that nut right off. So I'm going to have to use the pedals to try to start it. So so nothing at all. There's no fuel shut off. I mean, this has all just been bypassed. There was definitely fuel getting in the carburetor before it was full. I took it off. The nose getting spark. So I kind of feel like now we must have either a timing issue or possibly the reed valve. I guess it doesn't really sound like it has a ton of compression when I turn it. I mean, like, it obviously has some, because you can't just do it easily. There's a couple coughs. much compression. So now we're getting fuel, and obviously that's not sealing too good. But you know, I reused the bowl gasket, so I guess that's going to be expected, right? All right, so man, I'm out of shape. Need to catch my breath from pedaling this thing, and it's cold. But so I think now we're going to need to look and see if timing is right, and or if that reed valve is doing what it's supposed to do, because it seems like everything else is there. We've got spark, we've got fuel, so it's going to be something with timing or compression. All right, so we're back on it now. I did a little bit of research on as far as like how these things are timed. What I kind of noticed is that there are some marks in the flywheel. I see a T and a mark, and then right here, not sure if you can see that or not. Yeah, right there would be the mark, and that does seem to line up with top dead center. You put the screwdriver in there, basically where it stops moving is right there, lining up with that. So we can see where we're at top dead center. Now, as far as the spark timing is set right, we don't know that. Yep, there it goes. Just had to be a little bit. No, it's definitely a magneto. Okay, so it doesn't use points. There is an adjustment. You can turn this to adjust it. You don't see where it's ever been in a different place. Like these screws. The two adjustment screws are tight. They don't look like they've ever been moved. There's no marring on the, you know, the Phillips head. I don't see where it's been slid. So I think that's okay. There's an issue with that. This is key, so you can't put this all wrong. So I'm taking there's 4 bolts that hold this little intake tube on, and for whatever reason there's about 87,000 washers, lock washers no less, stacked up on 2 of the 4. These have 1 each, it looks like. There's 2 on that one. There's like a different washer. Oh, you can't see anything. There's 2 on the back one, 1 on the front one. And of course I have to like use a wrench on all of these. They're 8mm so far. So I'm just gonna keep working and try and get these off. Alright, so I got it off, and I mean it doesn't look right in just the fact that there's 3 gaskets here. Well, I guess I don't know. There's a layer of black right here. There's a layer of this metal, which I guess is the actual valve itself. And then there's another black gasket right there. You saw all the layers of washers happening, from what I can tell. So it's not going to focus. So these little bits right here, they open up to let the air in, and they seal off once they go back shut. So they're sucked in from the vacuum of the engine, and then they close off to not allow anything to come out. Now I can see one of these is lower than the other. I don't know if that really makes that much of a difference. From what I can tell, this right here is the part of the self-oiling. This one has a self-oiling system, so you can just fill this up with your two-stroke oil. It seems like there's some kind of a safety shut-off here. I don't know, but it's either a safety shut-off or like a warning light that would go on the non-existent gauge right there. So this is the hose running from that tank, comes down, and this was just off, plugged off, but it looks like it goes right there into this, and that's where that hose from the other side comes in here. So this will be the self-oiler here that's gravity fed from the tank, and then this is all just me working it out, looking at it. I mean, I could be wrong, but this little hose here goes over to that intake that we just took off into that little hose right there, or that little fitting right there. And I imagine either the gravity forces it through, or I would just imagine that the suction, that the vacuum from the engine would be sucking it down. So that's how that works. Evidently that's something that a lot of these don't have. A lot of these, the older ones, I'm assuming, because this is, I think, a mid-80s, 85. Actually, I don't know. My boat's an 85. Maybe that's where I'm getting 85 from. A lot of these have a measurement cup on the bottom of the cap, from what I've seen on other YouTube videos, where you pull it out, you put your oil in there, measure it, dump it in, and you fill the tank up. So this one takes it a step further and does it for you. So you can just put regular mix in there, or regular gas in there, and then it does the mixing for you. So that is convenient. Don't know if that's something that we're gonna get working on this bike, because, well, we just don't know yet. I mean, this thing needs a lot of work. It's not even running yet. So I just noticed that, so I thought I'd give that a little bit of the video. The other thing I noticed, of course, it's missing the headlight, but there's a lot of wires that run through this headlight. I'm assuming that this doubles as a junction block, because there's also a lot of wires that are not connected to anything. I mean, the headlight bulb itself probably is like these two, I guess. But then there's two more. There's a whole connector. There's another one. There's several wires. There's another one. They're not connected to anything, and they're all inside of the headlight assembly. So no idea as far as what those are without getting a wiring diagram. I did see where this here would be the speedometer drive. That's completely missing. So there would be another cable running up through here, up to a speedo right there. I mean, I could probably just trace these wires. I mean, there's only, probably like 15 or 20 on the whole thing, if that. I could probably just trace them all to figure out where they all go. I mean, obviously there's a horn switch, so you got your directionals, which that switch doesn't seem like it does much. It's pretty stiff. Horn, directionals, that all goes into there, so I could rule out that as far as those wires. Maybe this thing just had, no, I doubt it. Oh, well, yeah, I guess the direction was probably right here. And maybe someone along the way just didn't know, so they just stuffed all the wires inside of the headlight. So, horn is right there. Yeah, a lot of this is probably just going to be process of elimination to see what everything is. There's a brake light, obviously, so there's going to be wires for that. So I'm going to look into that reed valve situation. It looks like that does probably function enough to make it run. So still a little bit of a loss on why it doesn't want to run a little bit more than it does. We get it to pop, but that is it. It does not do any more than that as of yet.